Hey friends, hope you're well. The iPhone 16 is more similar to the 16 Pro as it ever has been, and from $799 I actually think it represents pretty good value. After I reviewed the 16 Pro, I switched over to the iPhone 16 and I've been using it for the last few weeks since, and so in this video I'll compare my iPhone 16 experience to not just the 16 Pro, but also with the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 13. I think this phone could be that sweet spot upgrade from an older generation iPhone, or a great entry point for Android users wanting to switch to an iPhone. So let's start with the design. Visually, it's not a huge change, but there are a few changes. Firstly, this teal color is super nice. It's the first time I'm really hesitant to cover it up with a case. The teal is really vibrant under all sorts of lighting and has a nice frosted finish, and yet manages to still look really premium. I really like it a lot actually, and wish Apple offered more vibrant colors like this on the Pro lineup. The other visual change is the vertical stacking of cameras similar to the previous design of the iPhone 12. I believe the reason Apple reverted back to this design is because when it's held horizontally, the side-by-side cameras better support spatial video instead of the diagonal position that we're used to in the previous iPhones, which would make processing spatial video much more tricky. The iPhone 16 also gets both the new buttons from the Pro, the action button and the capture button, which if you've seen my 16 Pro review, you know that I think both buttons are a bit of a gimmick, and after using it for a longer period on the iPhone 16, yeah, I'm still not a fan, unfortunately. In fact, since the 16 Pro, I've noticed that I'm constantly pressing the capture button by accident just because it's placed in an area that is always accidentally pressed. But I'm holding off to see how Apple Intelligence makes use of this button before I make any final conclusions on this capture button. There are also a few less obvious design changes worth pointing out. The display has what Apple calls the next generation ceramic shield. That's 50% tougher. And so I went this month without using a case on the iPhone 16 at all. And the good news is no problems or scuffs just yet. It's held up perfectly fine with daily use. And I think that's great because, like I said, this phone looks lovely. Okay, future me just jumping in real quick. As I'm editing this video, it's been a few days since I said that statement about the screen, but since then I've checked the screen and there's actually been a few scuffs and marks on the screen. So unfortunately, I highly recommend a screen protector. You might be able to get away without a case, but the screen isn't as durable as I initially thought. So yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that. With its weight, I did notice the weight difference right away switching over from the 16 Pro. It's a full ounce lighter now than the 16 Pro, but only 1 gram lighter than the previous iPhone 15. Overall, the design of the iPhone 16 feels really nice in hand, especially without a case. The internal layout has been reconfigured to accommodate a larger battery and also improves heat dissipation, which I'll talk about in a moment because yeah, the heating issue is unfortunately still here and it still gets stupidly warm in hand. The iPhone 16 surprisingly gets the new audio mix feature, which I thought was going to be a Pro only thing. It's so OP to edit a video soundstage and separate audio to background and foreground tracks. To really take advantage and hear this though, you want a good pair of earphones, and that's where Soundcore's new C40i clip-on earbuds come in, and for transparency, they're sponsoring this segment of the video. So these earbuds have a really unique clip-on design that not only looks dope on your ears, but practically they're both more comfortable and have a more secure fit than traditional earbuds or headphones. The cutting-edge ear grips are designed for complete movement, so I can work out at the gym or go for a run worry-free, especially with its IPX for water resistance and the easy button controls on the back for quick music controls. The flexible joints make this a suitable and comfortable fit for all ear types as well. The open ear design doesn't sacrifice on audio quality either. The racetrack dynamic drivers with titanium coated design deliver pretty clear audio, and the C40i is also Bluetooth 5.4 compatible, allowing devices to pair directly to the earbuds. The charging case itself offers up to 21 hours of playback, and yeah, overall, these clip-on earbuds represent pretty good value, particularly if you're looking for earbuds on the move. You can learn more about the soundcore C40i and check out the launch offer through the link in the description box below. Now, when it comes to the cameras and photos, they're more similar to the iPhone 16 Pro than I thought it would be, especially in good lighting conditions like outside on a sunny day. So this phone does miss out on the 5x telephoto camera and the new 42 megapixel ultra wide that the Pro version gets. But unless you like heavily shoot ultra wide and 5x zoom photos, the iPhone 16 doesn't really miss out on all that much, especially with the right camera settings switched on. I tested both the 16 and the 16 Pro together over the month, and the iPhone 16 does a seriously good job for a $799 phone. There's not a huge difference in quality between the two phones until you use, of course, the ultra wide zoom functions or you shoot in Pro RAW mode. But in low light, you can also tell that the Pro is able to lift out more detail in the darker areas of the photos and just generally looks better, I think. But if you're just taking photos to throw up on social media or to keep as memories, honestly, the iPhone 16 can do basically everything you want it to do, and there's no need to shoot Pro RAW anyway, so you're not missing out on that feature. And of course, the new photographic styles feature is as fun as ever, just like it is on the 16 Pro. It lets you quickly color grade your photos live while you're composing the shot, or you can even edit it and edit the color grade on the photo in post. I think it's a particularly good feature on the iPhone 16 because we can't shoot RAW photos on the base iPhones, which means we don't get the extra data in the photos to edit in post on apps like Lightroom. So it's really nice actually that you can quickly apply a custom filter and look in the camera app itself, and it's more than enough for the average mobile user. As with video, it's great, but it doesn't get that beautiful Dolby 4K 120 video recording available on the Pro models, and that's absolutely a feature that sets the Pro apart that you'll probably want to consider if you're big on video. That doesn't mean the video isn't any good. It's still one of the leaders in mobile video and it looks awesome as you can see here, but it just doesn't look as good as Dolby Vision 4K 120. Next, the A18 Performance has been stellar. I think these chips have become so good that the difference between the base chip and the Pro variant is just so minimal for like 90% of phone users. Between the iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16, in daily use, I really didn't feel much of a difference. It's only when gaming, shooting 4K videos, or applying the new photographic styles will you ever feel a slight difference in responsiveness. Based on Geekbench 6, the iPhone 16's performance in single and multi-core tests is comparable to a M1 iPad and even faster than an iPhone 15 Pro, which is pretty wild. It also represents a huge 30% performance leap from the iPhone 13 and 14, which both use an A15 Bionic chip. So if you're upgrading from these phones, the iPhone 13, 14, you're going to really feel the difference in daily use. Apple has also bumped up RAM from 6 to 8 gigabytes, so multitasking and app performance over the month has been honestly just as smooth as the iPhone 16 Pro. It's really that good. I feel like Apple has almost had to purposely nerf the iPhone 16 and not give it certain features just so there's incentive still to get the Pro model. I think it's really awesome though that we've got to a stage of mobile computing power where almost everyone benefits from the performance increases, whether or not a phone has the more expensive Pro tag on it. Battery life over the month has also been a selling point. I'm getting anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of mixed use each day, and that's at least an hour or two more than the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro. It's great to see the efficiency of the A18 chip pump out a roughly 15% boost in battery life from the iPhone 15, and a big 20 to 25% jump from the iPhone 14 and 13. Even though this is an improvement, it still does lag behind the Pixel 9, which has a bigger 4,575 mAh battery, and I got 10 to 14 hours of mixed usage on that phone when I tested it a few months ago. Alright, so the first few weeks, the thought passed my mind, do I really need the iPhone 16 Pro? Because the iPhone 16 is so far more than great, but Here's where I think this phone falls short and the negatives that I've experienced over the month. The first one has to be its dated 60Hz display. It's not exactly a bad display, it's just that once you start using a 120Hz display, halving that refresh rate feels like a pretty sluggish experience. Scrolling settings, websites, and social media just isn't as fluid, and when we consider that the similarly priced base Pixel 9 has a beautiful 120Hz OLED display, or even other Android phones, entry-level Android phones have 120Hz displays, it's a shame that the iPhone 16 still has a 60Hz display. The other negative is its price. For an iPhone, sure, it's nicely priced, and it stacks up pretty well when compared to the iPhone 16 Pro, but when we look at similar Android phones, that's when you realize you could get a lot more bang for buck. For example, the similar price Galaxy S24 or Google Pixel 9 gets far higher peak brightness, much more RAM, bigger batteries, and far faster charging speeds, as you can see here in this comparison chart. The other two sticking points are unfortunately similar to the iPhone 16 Pro. Number one, there's no sign of Apple Intelligence at launch, and the iPhone 16, yes, also gets very hot in hand under intensive use or in hot environments. Actually, heck, even when I was charging it at my desk in cool room temperatures, it gets oddly warm. And so it seems like Apple still has some tinkering to do to get the iPhone temperatures to a much better place. So the iPhone 16 is far from perfect, but after 1 month of use, here's why I still think it hits the sweet spot as an iPhone for like 80% of people. So there's less and less between the Pro and the base iPhone 16. And this phone is a significant improvement over several generation old models. Think the iPhone 12, 11X, or even older. So if you're planning on upgrading from an older iPhone and you want to pocket a few $100s and you don't need a better ultra-wide camera, video, and battery life, the iPhone 16 is an awesome buy representing that very sweet spot in value. But if we compare it to the iPhone 15 or 14, yeah, look, there's not much here that begs for your hard-earned cash. You're probably just better off swapping in a new battery, and that phone should last you another few years. In fact, there's rumors that Apple is now considering moving away from releasing new iPhones every year, so they have more time for new hardware to be developed. I think this makes a lot of sense. We don't need new hardware every single year, and we sort of need to accept that the days of massive leaps like the iPhone 3GS to the 4 or the 7 to the X, those days are behind us. We're not going to get way bigger screens, crazy better cameras, or much faster chips every year. So yeah, I'd say that this phone hits that sweet spot in the sub $1,000 budget range. But the one thing that was supposed to set the iPhone 16 apart from other phones, Apple Intelligence, still remains only a promise. And as Marquez famously says, never buy a product based on the promise of future features.